study that described that when we live life, we are playing a game. And he said that there's people that play finite games and other ones play infinite games. And the difference is that when you play finite games, you're related to time. You have a time, you have to win, or you can lose. But when you play an infinite game, when all the time of living, all the time of the world is yours, you are not valuing what is happening because of time. You are valuing what is happening because of intensity, of happiness, of pleasure, of presence, of being there. So there's a possibility of choosing the way we want to relate to future. If we want to relate to time in a kind of infinite games, you are the owner of your life, and as Terry said, you can define what is winning in life. And it's not in the hands of other one to define success. It's in your hands to define success. So this is one of the distinctions I want to bring if you want to work in future design, is how are you going to relate to time? As time or as space? The second distinction I want to bring is learning. And learning not only has to do with information, has to do with incorporating this new way of being, and has also to do with being an observer of the kind of observer that you are. Even more, being an observer to what are you attached, to what do you want to preserve, to what you don't want to change. Because if you don't want to change anything at all, the results that you will achieve in life are almost the similar results that you're getting until here. So there's no change outside. The only way of changing outside, if you change the way you relate to the outside, and you create a different action there. So if you act different, the answer will be different. So we got two distinctions by the moment. And this is what it happens when crisis comes. Because crisis is not something about outside. It's something we declare. And when we declare crisis, when we declare crisis, when what is happening outside is not what we wanted to be happening in that moment. So it's out of my control, it's not what I wanted, or I don't know what to do with this, or I don't want to change. And in those moments, we declare crisis. And I think this is another thing that we have to be clear. There's no crisis outside. Outside is happening what is happening. Crisis is my own crisis in my relationship with what is happening. So, we saw by the moment two distinctions in creating future. One has to do with space instead of time for future. The other one has to do with learning. And the third is future as a product of the model from where you take decisions. Other thing is there's no one future. There's not a destiny from this point of view. We think that as we are free people, we can choose the future that we want for us. In the situation that is happening, we always have the possibility of choosing and getting that boat of our lives to where we want to go. So, in our language, we say possible futures. Not one future, but lots of futures. And authors use lots of classifications. This is one. No? Utopy, probable, fearful, dystopy, plausible, desire. Utopy means in any place. It's not true, it's just a dream. And dystopy is the opposite, it's a nightmare. Yes? So we can have lots of future, or we can imagine there's no one. When we work with companies and we work in future design, I use a technique that is called future scenarios. So people work just trying to stretch their mindsets to think strategically and not creating a future that is a product of the way we were doing. When people do strategic planning in a company, they use the SWOT. Do you remember that, no? So when they do that, what they are doing is just to improve what is happening. They are not creating a future. They are not committed to a different future. And one of the things that I am almost sure, I don't know if you share this opinion with me, is that the world is changing so fast that if companies think that with improving it's enough, they will be out of market in 10 years. So today, creating future not has only to do with what I want, it has also to do with where the market is going. How policies, politics, social trends are going to impact in our business. So we work with trend analysis. And we use 5 of the most common trends analysis: social, politics, economics, environmental, and I'm missing one. And technological. Yes? Plus all the trends that belong to the business. Yes? So that's the first thing. And it's incredible how people read that and begin to talk about trends like if trends were true. And trends are not true. Trends are probabilities, are not true. But we need to feel sure about something, you know. So we can't live in this kind of uncertainty and take trends as trends. That's all. There are companies that are specialized in creating trends and in destroying trends. Yes, it's true. And the second thing is we use complex thinking. What does it mean? Thinking in more than a situation at the same time. Not thinking linearly in the future, but making 2 or 3 different things intervene in the same moment. And as this is a creative game, the people from the company has to create scenarios that should be successful happening, what could be happening in the world in that moment. So in some moments, what happens after they have nightmares, they have headaches, and they are tired, and they get bored, and they want to kill me, and things like that, because that happens. In some moment they begin, because the paradigm is exhausted. They begin to create new ideas. And sometimes they get black swan ideas. And we heard yesterday somebody talking about that. Black swan ideas are those ideas that are not coming from the logics, are the ones that created the world that we are living today, are the ones that created the shift and made a movement in the way we live today. And I saw those things happening. And I saw how some companies that got that kind of ideas changed the way they were marketing, changed their products, changed the way they are organized. So future scenarios is a technique that we can use to stretch maps and think more widely and design future and choose the future that we want. The other thing is, it's impossible to design future for ourselves alone. That's a very little thing. because there's no future for myself that will not impact in the others. And if you think that you can't influence in the future of the world in 10 years, there's people that think that they can. And they are doing it. And I remember Alvin Toffler's when he said, there are three kinds of people. People that create the future, people that will adapt to the future, and people that will ask in that moment, what happened? So that's another thing you can choose. It's only a way of thinking, and it's your own assessment. If you think you can create a future to change the world, to bring peace to the others, you can do it. If you think you can't, you will not do it. It's just choice. So, first of all, in this subject, we have this thing of creating future with others. But for creating future with others, we have to think in relationship. And relationship based not in control and fear, but based on love. Love not romantically talking. Love at the most genuine, passionate emotion of feeling that we have something to do with each other. At least because we come from the same root. We are not so different. We are we. That creates trust, and that creates the space for inventing something new for all of us. So there's a big difference in creating future from fear than creating future from love. And if people is not aligned in the sense of we, if somebody says, I will create the future for the company, that future will not be shared, will not be explicit in the company. When people create the future, they are participants in this creation. They feel future is of all of them. They have responsibility and they create commitment to that future. So I think coaches have a great role in this. I think we are like the ones that could hold the hands and say, even if you have fear, go through. I'm here. And I remember in these moments a legend from the Tarahumaras. I don't know if you have heard about them. Tarahumaras are a group of Aboriginal people in the north of Mexico that they live in caves. Still now, they live in caves. These pictures have figures. And not only live in caves, they live in some kind of desert, high mountains, and they used to run. They run a lot. They do everything running. And they run for kilometers and kilometers and kilometers and kilometers. And they have a personage in their culture that is called the Bones Gatherer. That is an old woman that uses to go to the desert at night and collect the bones of the wolves that are dead. She collects them and she heads into a place where she prepares those bones like if the wolf could be there. And once the skeleton is rearmed, she sits close to the head and begins to blow in the nose, and begins to sing, and sings and blows for 1 hour, 2, a day, 2 days. Who cares? But in some moment, and for some wolves, when she blows and sings, some kind of flesh begins to cover the bones. And that flesh are muscles. And then some skin appears. and then some hair appears. And in some moment, when she blows, the wolf begins to breathe. At the very first moment, like short breaths, and then the wolf gets a rhythm and breathes more deeply, and then moves the legs, and then opens the eyes, and in some moment stands up and shakes, and without saying thank you, begins to run to a new life, like we do when we create a new future. It's like beginning again. It's having a new life. And I think that's the role of coaches, to blow in the nose of the other ones, to sing a song, blow again, until that human being can choose a new future for himself. This is all I have to say.
Spend some time recognizing our speakers in the afternoon. Start with Elena. Thank you.
May I invite Elena Espinal, Business Executive Leadership and Team Coach, Team Power on stage this evening. Can we have some music, please? May I invite Frank Brezer, Global Coaching Expert and Coaching Program Corporate Consultant. May I invite you, if you admit us in...
Well, again, it's a trip of discovery and a trip of learning. Thank you. You are great teachers.
Thank you so much.